Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today's video is sponsored by Function of Beauty and we'll be reviewing Annie Jaffrey. Now, before we get into this review, let's talk self-care, specifically hair. So these past few months have been really stressful to say the least, so finding little ways to perk yourself up is so key. Since even before quarantine started, I've been a subscriber to Function of Beauty products, which has been so convenient in lockdown because they deliver it to your door every 1, 2, 3, or 6 months. I have always been picky about the beauty products that I use, especially during pregnancy, and I love that this line has no parabens or sulfates, is 100% vegan and cruelty-free. It's also fully customizable based on your unique hair needs. So you basically just fill out this 2-minute quiz about your hair type, your hair goals, and your personal preferences, and you get to choose your color and fragrance. They even print your name on the bottle. I mean, how cute is this? So my main goals were to fix split ends, strengthen, volumize, and add shine. So they sent me their specially formulated shampoo, daily conditioner, and serum for some added moisture. They also have a hair mask and leave-in conditioner for deep treatments, and everything is customized and can be added onto any order. Not to mention, all of their boxes are recyclable and their bottles are made from recycled material, so that means less environmental waste. If you're looking for a new hair care product that uniquely fits your needs, check out the link in my bio to get 20% off of your first order. Okay, so Annie is a lifestyle YouTuber who shares her health and wellness tips, beauty tutorials, and what I eat in a day inspiration. A lot of you have asked me to review her diet, which I will say is looking eerily similar to another high-carb, low-fat, whole foods YouTuber, Healthy Emmy, which you can check out right here. But before we really get into things, a few general disclaimers. Number one, the information in this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only, so you should always speak to a healthcare provider about your unique healthcare needs. Number two, don't forget that the recommendations for each individual meal that I review is designed to give you a variety of ideas on how to optimize your meals for balance, variety, and satiety. Whether or not one individual meal or even one day is balanced or healthy does not matter in the grand scheme of one's health, especially if a person is eating in response to their physical and emotional needs. I give suggestions as examples and inspiration for you, but you can also gather this data for yourself over time just by listening to your own body. Number three, please be kind in the comments both here and on Annie's channel. Number four, a trigger warning that some graphics and discussions may be disturbing for some of my viewers, so of course, feel free to skip this video. And five, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the little bell so that you never miss a video. All right, folks, let's jump in and look at Annie's breakfast.
Okay, so not so fast. I went to go grab the footage as I shot this video maybe a month or so ago, and apparently Annie has since taken this video down. I'm not really sure if she was getting pushback from fans or if it's because she now says she's back to incorporating some more healthy fats and salmon and eggs into her diet. But if she felt that this video did not represent her or her channel anymore, then it's only fair that I withhold my commentary on it as well. I can tell you, however, that the meals in this spring or early summer video were typically similar to some of the meals I've seen on her channel more recently. From my notes on the day, she had some celery juice, zucchini oatmeal with berries, a very large bowl of vegetables that she cooked in water with a head of romaine lettuce, and 2 cups of potatoes cooked without oil, a soup made out of cauliflower and sweet potatoes, and some sliced apples cooked with cinnamon. I am sorry I don't have clips, but let's move on to day 2.
Let's take a look at day 2.
If you guys haven't tried this, I would highly recommend getting on to lemon water first thing in the morning. It's so cleansing for your body and for your liver. It's amazing for your skin and just for your overall health and well-being. About a cup of wild blueberries. These are frozen. These are so good for you. I'm also going to use 2 frozen bananas, a piece of ginger, I've got some cucumber and spinach for greens. These are both very light in flavor, so you can put these with smoothies and they don't have a very overpowering taste. They just kind of blend in very well with the fruit. Then I'm also going to add in some spirulina powder and some of this collagen booster, which is just a bunch of greens, really high in vitamin C. There is no animal-derived collagen in here, but this is something that I do like to add to smoothies. Sometimes I have this with just water.
Okay, so again, lemon water, we got a Pilates class, meditation, a smoothie bowl, and a matcha latte made with homemade almond milk. Sounds delicious. Also sounds like a step-by-step how-to guide for having a wellness influencer's morning. But honestly, really, this is, of course, a really nice looking, nutrient-dense breakfast. We've got lots of fiber and carbs from the blueberries, bananas, cucumber, spinach, strawberries, and date-based raw nola, plus some fat and protein from the chia, pumpkin, and hemp. She also threw in a spoonful of spirulina, which is a blue-green algae packed with protein, iron, B vitamins, and antioxidants. Now, early research has actually found that consuming 1 to 2 grams of spirulina per day may improve cholesterol and blood sugar levels, and up to 4.5 grams may also help to reduce blood pressure. That would be a lot of the stuff, but still, it is nutritious. She also adds in a plant-based collagen booster, which is really just a combination of fruit and greens rich in biotin and vitamin C. Considering the copious amounts of produce that Annie eats, she's definitely getting more than enough vitamin C in her day. So the excess from that expensive supplement is just going to get peed out in the toilet. As for the biotin, there is a lot of biotin-rich foods in Annie's diet: almonds, seeds, cauliflower, sweet potatoes, spinach, etc. And honestly, deficiency is pretty rare unless there is some kind of physical absorption issue. I also know that there are a lot of supplements out there with biotin that promise to improve hair and nail quality, but we just don't have a whole lot of solid research to back this up. For nails, we have only 3 small studies, one of which looked at using 2.5 milligrams per day of biotin for 6 to 15 months, and in the 8 patients with brittle nails, nail thickness increased by 25%. Another study found that it improved firmness in 91% of 45 patients. And another study found 63% of 35 patients saw improvements. Now for hair, we only have research in kids with a rare hair disorder where 3 to 5 milligrams per day saw improvements after 3 to 4 months. And as for skin, we have only research on babies where 100 micrograms to 10 milligrams per day was able to reduce rashes and dermatitis. Now, let's keep in mind that this supplement that Annie's using has only 30 micrograms per serving. And all of this research that I just cited has required 1,000 times or more that amount to see any kind of measurable impact. It's not harmful because, again, you'll likely just pee out any excess. But it's not cheap, and it's not likely to do a whole lot either. Let's move on to lunch. Okay, this looks pretty delicious. I mean, I know it looks pretty low carb, but there's actually almost 90 grams of carbs from the chickpeas and the veg, plus around 30 grams each of protein and fat. So yeah, this looks pretty well balanced to me.
Okay, so for Mo here, I'm making him the warm version, and he really likes shrimp with his pad thai. So I've got some onion, some shrimp, and now I'm gonna add in the vegetables, so the carrots and the red bell pepper.
Okay, so Annie just went for a walk to get a little bit of sunshine and is back in time for dinner. And this dinner looks really delicious. We've got some healthy fats and protein from the almond butter, lots of fiber-rich veg, of course, some carbs in the noodles and sweet potatoes. I mean, it's a little skimpy on the protein, just 11 grams, and it's largely coming from the almond butter and maybe trace amounts from everything else. So if Annie didn't want to have the shrimp like she had cooked for her partner, maybe agreeing on a plant-based option like tofu or edamame would be a nice compromise. Also, while I am generally a huge fan of doing the half zoodle, half noodle combo, I would say that this is ideal for people who just don't get enough vegetables or fiber in their day, which is really not one of my areas of concern for Annie. Let's take a look at dessert. Okay, so I don't know how much that she had of this chocolate bar, but let's be real, the chai and chocolate combo looks like a super delicious way to end the night. Let's finish off with day 3.
It's the first thing that I have every single morning, and it just makes me feel so good. It really wakes up my system. It's a good dose of vitamin C as well, which is especially important now for your immune system. I then did a really great workout. So this is called the Raw Organic Perfect Food Alkalizer and Detoxifier. It's a juiced green superfood, and it's got lots of amazing ingredients in there. A lot of different vitamins, minerals, a blend of different greens like barley grass, alfalfa, wheatgrass, parsley, and then I also put in some of this. This is the Amazing Grass Organic Collagen Booster. So this is basically a really good source of vitamin C. There is no animal-based collagen in here, but it's very rich in vitamin C, which is what our body needs to produce collagen. But I really like this just for the vitamin C in general. The collagen production is a benefit, but vitamin C is super important for lots of other things in your body. So I'm gonna mix those two together, and then I'm also gonna put in some of this multiple mineral liquid concentrate. This has a blend of different minerals such as calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, and these are all essential for our bodies. So this is a really great immune support. This does not taste the best, but it is so good for you, so I just chug it down, and I know that it's doing really good things to my body. And I will also take my probiotic right now, which is from Viridian. It's the Clear Skin Complex.
Okay, so after Annie's lemon water and Pilates, she has a cocktail of supplements made up of that same collagen powder we talked about before, some calcium, magnesium, zinc, and iron, and a probiotic and some alkalizing supplement, all of which she says tastes horrible, but she knows it's really good for her, so she chugs it down. I have a lot to say about this. First of all, is this supposed to be breakfast? Because this basically has no calories, no protein, no fat, and very few carbs. This is not an appropriate post-workout meal or meal, period. As for the alkalizing green powder, the website claims that this product has highly alkalizing raw organic lemon juice and raw organic parsley, and 8 powerful cleansing herbs traditionally used to assist in daily detoxification. Very quickly, I mean, we've already gone over lemon juice. There's no research to suggest that it has detoxing superpowers. Parsley may have some mild diuretic properties, which is where it gets its detoxing claim, since peeing is really your body's way of detoxing naturally. As for the organic herbs, I mean, fennel seed, radishes, dandelion, and yellow dock root may have some mild digestive benefits. Burdock may help increase blood circulation, and yes, technically speaking, having healthy bowel movements and blood circulation is part of normal detoxing. But we have no research that taking a supplement like this will have any likely real impact on one's health, and I would way rather spend my $45 on actual high fiber fruits and veg. I get the allure of these green powders for people who just can't seem to sneak in enough produce into their day, but like I said before, this is clearly not an issue for Annie. All right. Next, Let's look at lunch.
Really delicious, super fresh. Got some herbs in there, tomatoes, some different seeds, cucumber, and it's just so delicious. And I'm gonna have that over a bed of greens, some avocado. I'm gonna put some lemon juice on top, and it's gonna be really good.
Okay, so this looks like a really super tasty meal. I mean, I am surprised to see Annie having canned tuna, as when I look at the videos in sequence, it's basically like she went from eating fish and some added oils in the form of that vegan mayo to no animal products or non-whole food fats at all. Did I miss something? I mean, this happened from one video to the next, and while I looked, I couldn't find any kind of disclaimer or explanation. Now, vegan or not is not my concern, but I do love that we're getting some quality protein from the tuna. We've got fat from the mayo, nuts and avocado, and lots of fresh veg. Considering, however, that Annie did not have breakfast, I would definitely want to see some more carbs here. She could easily throw all of this into like a pita, toss in some cooked quinoa or rice, or even just serve it with a side of fruit. Something to give her a little bit more fuel to replenish those glycogen stores, since there really wasn't anything following her workout. Let's take a look at dinner.
I made a warm veggie bowl with the mix of broccoli, Brussels sprouts. These are the sweet potatoes, asparagus, quinoa, the mushrooms with the onion, garlic, and ginger. This is really good. And then I made 2 salads. This is just lettuce with cucumbers, red bell pepper, avocado, and then this dressing that I love to make. This is just lemon juice, olive oil, apple cider vinegar, and some pepper. So I'm gonna pour that on top. So this looks really good. Smells incredible. Yum.
Okay, so after Annie's afternoon walk, she settles into what she calls a warm veggie bowl with a salad on the side. This is quite a big portion of vegetables here. We've got Brussels sprouts, broccoli, onions, sweet potatoes, mushrooms, asparagus, quinoa, and served with another generous portion with lettuce, bell peppers, cucumbers, and avocado with a lemon apple cider vinaigrette. Now, there is a lot of vegetables here, and I love vegetables. There is no doubt that this is a nutrient-dense meal. But man, the volume eating with these YouTubers is intense. And thank goodness for the fat in the olive oil dressing and avocado, and a little protein in the quinoa and trace amounts in the rest of the veg. Those foods definitely help to get her the nutrients and calories that she needs with a little less bulk. But even still, this seems unbalanced to me. And I would expect that it's pretty hard and pretty expensive to eat this amount of fiber-rich vegetables as a method to meet your protein and caloric needs. Since there's already so many amazing colorful veg in this bowl, we could definitely do without the salad. And if she was still hungry, she could easily add in some more staying power to the bowl with some nuts, seeds, tahini, beans, tofu, tempeh, or nutritional yeast. I just don't want people watching this thinking that they need to have 2 huge bowls of veg at every meal in order to be healthy. Too much of a good thing is totally possible when it displaces other really nourishing foods. Let's see her dessert. Oh man, this dessert looks incredibly satisfying. We've got tons of fat, protein, and fiber in the hemp hearts, chia, flax, nuts, and seeds, plus some carbs from the blueberries and chocolate. Now, I see that Annie keeps all of her little toppings in these super beautiful glass jars. Very Instagrammable, but not necessarily so smart when it comes to food storage. All of the nuts and seeds, especially pre-ground flax and chia, are highly susceptible to going rancid due to their delicate oils. So it's actually ideal to keep them in tightly sealed containers in the fridge or in the freezer, and to grind them in small batches to prevent spoilage. In the fridge, these things will last about 6 months, and in the freezer, up to a year. So just something to keep in mind if you have a lot of these kind of fancy seeds hanging out in your pantry, getting stale and old. All right, folks, on that note, let's talk about the big questions. Is this way of eating balanced? Well, let's break it down for you. I think it's refreshing to see a slim influencer eat an adequate amount of calories. And without giving specifics out of consideration for my audience, Annie's caloric needs are definitely being met. Interestingly, something happened between March 25th and April 26th that significantly changed a few major things in her diet. I may have missed it, but I did look for an explanation, and I didn't see any of the typical "I changed my diet" kind of announcements. And when I looked back even further to like a year ago or earlier, there was a lot more variety in Annie's meals and a lot less volume eating of just straight up vegetables. So I'm not sure what triggered this shift, or if it's been like a gradual journey and Annie's list of kind of safe or healthy foods is getting smaller. But based on the videos I specifically analyzed, I did notice that back in March, Annie was eating fish, she was eating oil, and she actually had a relatively lower carb, higher fat, and moderate protein diet. But by her April What I Eat in a Day, she had gone full-on oil-free vegan, and her macro significantly shifted to high carb, moderate to low fat, and low protein. Her fiber levels also got kind of out of control, with over 100 grams of fiber on day 2. Considering just a month earlier she was consuming half of that, I would think that's quite the jump for most people's digestive systems, and is likely to cause a lot of excessive bloating, pain, gas, and either constipation or diarrhea for a lot of people. Trust me, I love fiber. And in real life, like not YouTube life, I don't ever have to tell people to eat less fiber. Most people just do not eat enough. But when your diet is almost exclusively made up of vegetables and some fruit, there is a real concern of swinging things too far in the other direction.
Okay, so a little update here. In a recent August video that I just watched, Annie was having eggs at breakfast, and she discussed how she's now back to having things like salmon, eggs, and healthy fats in her diet, while trying to reduce the amount of high GI carbs in her diet. So this has been in an effort to help improve her skin, which is actually an evidence-based recommendation. So we don't have a whole lot of high quality research on nutrition and acne, but we do know that there is an association between high GI carbs and breakouts for some people. And I'm also glad to hear that she's back to incorporating more fat into her diet, especially those heart-healthy omega-3s, which are linked to reduced redness and inflammation in the skin. So this shift may explain why she removed that earlier video that highlighted a very high carb, low fat diet. Okay, back to my general commentary.
I also just don't think this volume of vegetables is accessible for most people. 99.9% of the world cannot afford to eat this many vegetables. They don't have the time to prepare this many vegetables at every meal, and they would probably feel legitimately ill trying to eat 2 full bowls of almost just vegetables for every meal. Now, in terms of variety, there is no shortage of variety on the produce front, but we could definitely do with some more variety in protein, as when we even do have a major source of protein on board, it's pretty much exclusively from nuts, seeds, and chickpeas, or just trace amounts from all the vegetables. Even if Annie wanted to maintain her whole food plant-based diet, we could still include other things like lentils or other pulses to help switch things up. Finally, there's no shortage of beautiful antioxidants in Annie's diet, and I was happy to see her discussing taking a few supplements in one of her videos, because without that multivitamin, I don't think that she would meet her vitamin D3 or B12 needs. The pricey green powders, liver detoxes, and collagen boosters, on the other hand, are probably overkill and not likely to accomplish a whole lot. Now, are there any problematic assumptions made by this channel? Well, I think we can get a lot of clues about Annie's diet philosophy just by watching her video entitled 3 Tips for Weight Loss. In it, Annie shares some of her top tips for getting and staying lean, which she apparently has some experience with since she herself used to be 40 pounds heavier when she was a teenager. Her first tip was to eat a whole food, plant-based diet. Now, at face value, I don't necessarily think that this is bad advice. The combination of plant-based protein, high-fiber fruits and vegetables, beans, legumes, and nuts, with a reduction in refined processed foods like candy, soda, and sugars, tends to result in fewer calories in, more satiating fiber, and just more nutrition, period. When we look at the literature, we see that a review of 12 studies, including over 1,000 people, found that those who followed a plant-based diet lost about 4.5 pounds more than those who are on a non-vegetarian diet. Another study found that following a whole foods plant-based diet that was low in fat and pretty much just vegetables resulted in a sustained 9-pound weight loss at the 1-year mark. And there are a lot of reasons beyond weight loss to eat more plant-based foods, including reducing the risk of heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. But what I don't like is that there seems to be an unhealthy focus on the amount of food that you get to eat for a lower amount of calories, otherwise known as volume eating. Trigger warning, this gets bad. Annie pulls up a graphic outlining the caloric density of different foods and how much you can fit in your stomach for 500 calories. There is no denying that, yes, you can eat more volume in vegetables than you can in cheese. But this actually isn't a sustainable or healthy mindset to get yourself into, and may not even be the secret to weight loss. Sure, any food that is rich in water will temporarily stretch your stomach to trigger the vagus nerve, which then tells you that you're full. But without any protein, fat, and or a lot of fiber in the mix, that satiety will likely be short-lived. Research has consistently found that protein-rich foods produce the greatest satiety sensation, even when they're matched with the same amount of calories of other foods. This is one of the many reasons why I flag lower protein intakes, because the general population does tend to do better with adequate protein in their diet. Obviously, this needs a whole other video, so if you want to know how much protein that you actually need, let me know in the comments below and I'll do a whole video on that. As for carbs and fat, well, research is admittedly mixed when trying to describe which of these two macronutrients is the next in line in the satiety hierarchy. But it does seem that higher fiber carbs do have an edge over fat, likely because they offer the fullness factor for fewer calories. But some experts actually believe that this is more kind of a psychological cue, because we may see a smaller portion of something high in fat, like oil or an avocado, and assume that it just won't fill us up. And these graphics really do perpetuate that perception. The key, in my opinion, is to aim for variety and in the right proportions. Filling your stomach up with high water greens is not going to keep you satiated for very long, and is surely not going to offer very much emotional satisfaction either. This is why I typically suggest filling half of your plate with higher fiber fruits and vegetables, a quarter with protein, and a quarter with high fiber starch, and including some source of fat in the mix, whether that's oil or avocados or nuts or whatever. And speaking of oil, I don't know what the hell happened between March and April of this year, but Annie seemed to go from having a moderate approach to added oils and protein in her diet to a severely limited diet. Honestly, I don't think that oils are a health food, but I also don't think that we need to fear their use outright and saute things with water or make different meals for us and our partner to make ours lower calorie, lower fat, or lower protein. We've seen this with a few of the YouTubers I've reviewed, and it's always been a bit of a red flag for me. Remember that all meals, especially ones that are just like straight up vegetables, still need to taste good. And fat ultimately carries flavor. Also on the point of hating on fat, she talks about how when it comes to weight loss, we should focus on low fat and not low carbs. Her rationale is that it's easier for our body to convert food fat to body fat than to convert glucose to body fat. And that's not necessarily false. Dietary fat requires the least amount of energy to digest and is stored at 90 to 95% efficiency compared to carbs, which have a 75 to 85% efficiency rate. But if you look at the research on weight loss in real life, not in a vacuum, the evidence is definitely mixed. One 2015 meta-analysis reported modestly greater weight loss on low-carb diets, but a meta-analysis from the year before found that after a year, there were no differences between low-carb and low-fat results. In the best trial that we have to date, they found no difference in the weight loss of low-fat versus low-carb diets, but that the weight loss variations within the same group were more significant than weight loss between the groups. In other words, if low-fat works better for one person, low-carb may work better for another. There is no magic pill, period. Like I said, fat is inherently satiating physically and also emotionally satisfying. And a diet devoid of these two things is a diet destined to fail. Again, this is why balance is so important to me, period. But let's finish off with some things that we really like about her channel. Well, in her weight loss video, Annie surprisingly mentions that weight loss shouldn't be about getting skinny and thin, but rather the goal should be to get healthy and have the energy that you need to do all the things that you want to do. That was really refreshing to hear. In her video on her 5 health and wellness hacks, she recommends being present when eating her meals and expressing gratitude for your food. And I think that this is a really helpful tip for being more mindful when you eat. She also recommends meal prepping some of your staple foods to really make mealtime easier. And I am personally a huge fan of batch cooking when you have some time. But in conclusion, it does seem like Annie may be going a little too far down the rabbit hole on her health journey as it relates to her whole food, plant-based diet. Over the past few months, I've seen a progressive decline in dietary flexibility and variety and a pivot towards more extreme forms of restriction.
Though, updated note, I am happy to hear that it sounds like she's now kind of reining that in to hopefully find a bit more balance in her diet.
I get the impression from a lot of the cleaning and the organizational videos that are on her channel, and just from listening to Annie a lot, is that she, like me, is a bit of a type A personality. And knowing our tendencies, I do think it's not uncommon for this whole COVID thing, or really any major life change, to have us grasping for some sense of normalcy and control. So I do hope that Annie can find some sense of peace without further restriction, and that others who are watching her are not tempted to tighten their own food reins in response. And on that note, that is all for me today, folks. A big thank you again to Function of Beauty for sponsoring this video. If you liked this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below with who you'd like to see me review next. A reminder to please be kind in the comments, both here and on Annie's channel. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!